I'm holding here, it'll be difficult to see from far away, but this is a one-page tear sheet from the Wall Street Journal dated Monday, December 17th, 2012. It says at the top, Connecticut school shooting, and then the headline below that, but in larger letters, is Shattered Lives. I obviously won't read it all, but this has been on my desk since that week. And you can see it's a bit yellowed, and every story here has an element of inspiration that is almost unimaginable. And I mention that because I'm from Pennsylvania. I don't represent the state of Connecticut. But this tragedy in Connecticut, Newtown, Sandy Hook Elementary School, stays with all of us for different reasons. Maybe because some of us are parents, maybe because we were struck by the gravity, the enormity, and the brutality of that crime on what so many of us have called that awful day. But I'll tell you, I don't think I've been as affected by a news event other than 9/11 in my life, and certainly not one never affected in the way that it had a connection to what I would do and how I would vote. So this tragedy in Newtown in 2012 directly affected the way I would vote, changed my thinking in so many different ways, which I won't walk through all of that tonight. But as much as these stories of these children inspired me then and continue to inspire me, I don't want to add another set of stories to my desk or keep adding to the chronicle of suffering and the chronicle of murder and destruction that gun violence will leave us with. Today, the Washington Post, and I'll just open this up for illustrative purposes, had one page and then another page, and they needed 2 pages, obviously, because of the number of victims. I didn't count, but if that's not 49, it's close to 49, and each of them has a story as well. So just as the children whose stories were summarized in the Wall Street Journal in 2012, today's Washington Post, and I'm sure many other papers have these stories. And we don't have time to go through every story, but I was inspired by the lives of those children, what they meant to their families, what their life meant to their community, how they, even in their very young lives, had already begun to achieve significant things in their life, either by making their sisters and brothers happier or comforting their sisters and brothers and family and friends. And I'm sure the same will be said of those who lost their lives in Orlando. Let me just give you 2 examples for in the interest of time. This is on page A11 of the Washington Post today, one of the many vignettes. I mentioned earlier today Akira Monet Murray, 18 years old. She happened to be from Philadelphia. I talked about her earlier today. 3rd in her class, on her way to a basketball scholarship, just happened to be in Orlando, Florida. She was killed. Remarkable young woman. I wish I knew her, but she's had just graduated from West Catholic in Philadelphia. But here's someone as well who died in Orlando, Brenda Lee Marquez McCool, 49 years old, one of the oldest on these 2 pages. Many of them listed, as many people here know, were 25 and 21 and 18 and 24 and 22 and on and on. But here's what the first 2 lines of this vignette about Brenda Lee Marquez McCool, a 2-time cancer survivor. McCool was first diagnosed with cancer about 8 years ago. And this is her ex-husband, Robert Presley, said, quote, "The doctor gave her a year to live. She lived 8 until this nonsense, unquote. She lived 8 years after a diagnosis of cancer. So that, her life and her fight to overcome cancer should be a reminder of us that this is a long fight. And she lost her life ultimately, but she beat cancer for a long time, even though she lost her life this weekend. Give you one more, and there's so many more, and we just don't have time tonight to go through all. Shane Evan Tomlinson, 33. He was working that night, playing in a band, and then he left there to go to the club and to be able to relax a little bit after working. But he was a member of an all-male gospel choir at House of Blues in Orlando. Again, 33 years old. So I don't want to keep adding to this chronicle. No, none of us want. We all want to figure out a way to make progress on this issue, to finally say to ourselves that as Americans, we can come together and take even incremental steps, but I think for this week would be significant, as both all three senators, Senator Murphy, Senator Blumenthal, Senator Booker, have reminded us. What we're asking for here is a model of reasonableness. We're asking for a simple solution to a very discrete but horrific problem. If you're too dangerous to go out and get on an airplane, if we've made that determination, why would you be allowed to have a firearm? Why would a terrorist or potential terrorist be allowed to have a firearm? Let's solve that one problem.